Good morning, welcome to Primavera Pro 2022. It is crucial for independent artists to be able to maintain the narratives of their work and career. Programs such as Foundry have helped to do this, and artists like Enny and her manager Pascal have been part of the change. This is a conversation guided by Sheniece Charway from YouTube Music and curated by YouTube. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. How's everyone feeling today? Good? Good, great. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have a super exciting panel, which I'm super excited for us to kind of get into. As mentioned, my name is Sheniece, and I'm the Artist Relations Manager at YouTube, and I'll be your moderator today. We have the amazing Enny and Pascal here, so a quick round of applause for them. As mentioned, over the last 5 years, we've seen more and more artists having deals through independent labels and taking ownership of their journey and music. Pascal and Enny are definitely ones to kind of lead on this, which is super exciting. YouTube have been able to work closely with both of them, which I've been lucky enough to be like their point of contact at YouTube. So we're going to go into a little bit more detail about both of them. So Enny and Pascal, for those who don't know Enny's a very talented rapper hailing from South London. Enny has cemented herself as a rising star in the UK and somewhat eager to carve her own path, both sonically and lyrically. Enny blends a relaxed, jazzy influence and nimble flows drawing from old school grime, continuing to draw critical acclaim and shows empathic promise from an artist still so early in her career. Behind most great artists, there's a team. And I'm going to introduce now Pascal. So Pascal got into the industry to help creators like himself who needed a safe space to develop their talent. His unique approach to arts management helped through the launch of career of rapper and singer Enny, playing a crucial role in both the creative and business aspects. Pascal introduced Enny breakthrough single pen Black Girls and debuted EP Under 25 whilst still managing her career. So tell us how you both met, because I think a lot of people don't know.
Me? Hi guys, great to be here. So yeah, I guess me and Enny, we met 2019?
Yeah, like early May.
Yeah, I was just working at Represent, a radio station in South London.
Yeah.
And I remember just walking in one day and my boss tapped me on the shoulder and he was like, "You've got to hear this artist. She came in the other day on a guest show and played some of her demos. Like, she's really good." And I'd hear that about once every 2 weeks, walk in, hear the songs, be like, cool, like, whatever. And so when I heard the demo, I was like, what the hell? Like, I've found my new favorite artist in the UK. Like, how many thousands of followers does she have? How have I been sleeping on her? Went on the Instagram page and yeah, it wasn't that. So I just reached out and was like, yo, like, massive fan. Yeah. And that's kind of how it all started, isn't it?
Yeah. It was like everything happened at like the right time, because at the time I was meeting Pascal, I was leaving work to pursue music, but I had no like basis of doing music. I just knew that I wanted to be a rapper. And so, yeah, we just crossed paths at a very perfect time. And like 3 years later, we're in Barcelona on a massive panel. So.
That's a great story. I think it's nice that it was like organic as well, and it wasn't like a forced relationship, which obviously makes it much probably easier to manage. Enny, quick question: did you always know you wanted to be a rapper?
Yeah, since I was like 7 years old, I knew I wanted to be a rapper. It was the goal. It was the one thing that I wanted to do.
Amazing. So just obviously we're here to talk about independent labels, and obviously you guys are signed through the Orchard, which is super exciting. How much did you guys know about independent labels before like coming together? Was it something that you knew you wanted to do, or was it just kind of it happened?
I think it kind of just happened, but we also come from a space where everything's kind of independent anyways. So we work with Route 73, which is a community-based collective, and so just like starting off from there, you could see a lot of like independent energy, that everyone was kind of self-sufficient, and so
yeah. To be fair, yeah. I feel like for me, like going into management, I didn't really know much about what we were going to get into. Hadn't really heard of a label like Fam or The Orchard. And I feel like just as we got into it, we started meeting loads of different people, and you kind of just get a vibe for people, you know what I mean? So you have a meeting with someone and you know they're good vibes or not really. And yeah, it kind of just happened like that.
Okay, cool. Yes, I think especially in this day and age, there's a lot more, especially black artists being independent, and a lot of them do say it just kind of happens. They have more creative freedom. Do you guys feel like you have more creative freedom being independent and have like being able to control your narrative?
100%. I think you get into conversations with like a lot of people and they will ask, and then I'm kind of like coming from a place of like, yeah, like I'm fortunate to be part of a space that just wants me to make the kind of music I want to make, and I think that's a strong advantage, like when you're working with an independent label or you're being independent, that you get a lot of creative control.
Pascal?
I feel like that it's been good. I feel like over time as well, we've built a relationship of trust, where at the start it was very much, this is how we're going to do things, help us. And now it's like, this is how we want to do things, what do you think? How can we make it better? So it's still, I feel like the ideas come from us, but we've kind of built a good relationship where we feel really supported, I feel like, from Fam and the Orchard. Yeah.
That's good. I guess it's definitely good to kind of know that you guys are supported on your creative freedom and that no one's trying to push you in a certain direction. And I think that's why you've been able to grow so quickly as an artist as well, which is super exciting. Just a quick question. How, I know Pascal, you obviously produce as well. How does that happen in terms of like, who says we can release this next, what songs? I think it would be nice for people to kind of know a bit more about the music.
I think ultimately it's kind of, well, it's like you spend a lot of time making music, and when you hold on to this music for a long time, sometimes it gets a bit like, oh, I hate this so much. So I'm very wishy-washy, like I'll love a tune one day, and then he'll be like, oh yeah, okay, cool. It's a great one. Then the next day I'm like, I hate it, it's never coming out. And so we just all kind of work to produce like the best product, and I feel like as a team we know like this is the one, this feels good.
Yeah, I definitely feel like at the start it was a lot more, with me and Enny, a lot more music making and a lot less management.
Yeah.
And I feel like we just made a bunch of music. We had about like, 10 different ideas, or maybe a bit more for the EP.
That's all we had, because we were just making music.
Yeah. And then it's always a group decision, isn't it? I feel like we kind of obviously listen, Enny kind of decides mainly, but then we kind of speak to Fam, what do you think a good single would be, or kind of team effort.
Okay, cool. That's good to know. It's nice that it's like a good dynamic. You guys kind of deciding, because obviously you still have to be a manager, but then a producer, and then obviously your artistry is very important to you. So it's making sure that all makes sense. Do you guys think you would ever go into like a major?
I think it depends what a major label can offer as an artist. So I feel like everything has a limit. So if you get to a point where, like with being independent, it's kind of like there's only certain places you can go. I think once you have the right leverage, you could possibly go to a major label if that's what you feel you need to do. But I think if I were to ever go to a major label, I would have to have the leverage so I could maintain the control, because you could sign to a major label and then they just take control of everything and kind of block certain things coming out. So I think it just depends where you are and what you have.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like the label always has to kind of match the ambition of the artist, and like it has to make sense for what we're trying to achieve as well. I feel like for the last couple of years, like our vision with Fam and their kind of more independent approach to things, a bit more chill, I feel like, rather than like with a major label you hear, oh, we need this kind of song, we need these numbers, we need this. And I feel like early on as an artist, I don't feel like you need that pressure. Like you're just trying to find your feet and kind of where you fit in all of this. The last thing you need is someone being like, yo, we need a hit. Like,
especially when the label's so big as well. I think that's the cool thing about being part of an independent label. It's so in-house and so tight. So, you know, like once you're talking to one person, you're kind of speaking to everyone. Yeah. So it's not like nothing can get kind of lost in translation, because everyone's at the same table.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess priorities are completely different. You might be a priority to yourselves, obviously, but not a priority to them. I think also a lot of black artists are now becoming more independent or want to stay independent. Do you think there's a reason why? Is it more black artists, more DIY and kind of grow in a different way that non-black artists do? Or do you think it's just they want to keep creative control?
I think it's about keeping creative control and also knowing what you bring to the table, because I think when it comes to culture, a lot of black music is prominent and influences a lot of the sounds that we've heard in history, and we've seen what's happened to it. It can easily be whitewashed and disregarded. So I think it's sick, like, as a growing point, that black people kind of maintain that control over black artists maintain that control over their music, so they own it. I think ownership is very important.
Definitely. Pascal?
I was going to say, I think also education. Like, I think with the internet, like, you can go online and read so many things about bad deals, good deals. There's more black artists, more black managers. I feel like back in the day, like, even for myself as a manager, there weren't many people to look up to or role models. So you would have kind of just got into it, not knowing what a good deal or a bad deal, not knowing the consequences of signing to a major label. But I feel like now that young managers and artists are more kind of clued up on this kind of stuff, it's like, hold on a minute, like, I've seen this go wrong before. Why am I just gonna, like, sign with my, you know what I mean? So it's like learning more about just what everything means, royalties. And I think when you first go into it, you don't know. We knew nothing, and I feel like we had a really good team around us that could kind of, instead of looking at us and be like, oh, you don't know this, you don't know that, it was more like, okay, this is how this works, this is how that works. And just having more people kind of helping artists like Enny and managers like myself, it's been massive, I think.
Yeah. And knowing your worth as well, I think, is very important. I feel like sometimes people feel like overly gratitude-y for being in positions and kind of feeling like, oh, wow, I'm just happy to be in the room. But, like, more time, you're in the room for a reason. So know your value and know what you bring to the table.
Definitely, I think that's definitely really key, especially with like labels, especially major labels. There's a lot of artists coming through different platforms now quite quickly, and I think sometimes you can lose the oversight of what an artist is and what the music should be. So I think that's why I think a lot of definitely black artists are now more DIY or independent, so they can keep everything in house. Do you think that you guys, if you weren't part of like FAM, would have got like the same education to kind of help you grow quite quickly?
I mean, I don't know. We've only ever worked with one label, so it's hard to say. Like, I think definitely what FAM have offered that a lot of labels can't is a lot of the people that work at the label are also managers. And so whilst they are Enny's label, they're also a group of managers, and when we have certain issues or certain questions, they know they've probably encountered a lot of them, you know what I mean, themselves, and working with their artists. And it's not only that they've managed artists, they've done it really well, obviously. Georgia, Maverick Sabre. So yeah, I don't know if we would have maybe got a different kind of support probably, but not as in-depth. And I think for Enny as well, because she was the first artist kind of outside of their management company that was signed to the label, I feel like we did get a lot of attention and a lot of help.
Especially like during the pandemic. And because I remember just feeling like, why did they want to sign like my song? That doesn't make sense. Like, I've only put one tune out, but I think when people see potential and believe in something.
Yeah, definitely. How was it working together during the pandemic?
It was sick, I think. At that point, we'd only probably known each other a year now, so that also helped with the relationships, because it was a lot more intense, but you weren't seeing him. I wasn't like seeing you, but like we would speak a lot. We were still able to kind of do music, still able to launch a career. So yeah, I think it was
I loved
decent.
I thought it was great because like we didn't have all the noise around us. There wasn't shows happening, so we could kind of just focus on the releases. I remember after the first track came out, because for people that don't know London, like Enny lives in south, quite far south, and I live in like northeast, so it's quite far away, so we weren't seeing each other because just the distance, public transport. But one day after the release of He's Not Into You, we decided to ride all the way from north to south and surprise Enny.
On their bikes.
On our bikes. So as much as we didn't get to see each other and stuff, we still kind of worked on music, and we still tried to kind of keep like
everything
things going. Yeah, it was an important time.
Very much. A lot of growing took part in that period. So yeah.
It's good. I guess what was your first performance after pandemic then?
The first performance up. What was that?
EP launch, maybe? I don't know.
No,
Was that still in the pandemic?
no, that was something earlier.
I feel like you've done so many.
Yeah,
now.
that was like 2 years ago now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Because that must have been quite weird for you, just to like obviously starting in lockdown and then coming out and like just performing in front of everyone.
To be fair, before that, I'd probably only done like 4 shows, like or maybe 5, like 2 open mics, a show at the Jazz Cafe, and then 2 shows with Root. So it was like every time I did get a chance to perform, it felt like this very about to perform. But now it just feels like about to perform.
It's because you're a natural, that's right. Okay, cool. We're going to quickly get into Foundry. So obviously I was able to work with you guys through the Foundry program. So Foundry is YouTube Music's global artist program. Foundry serves the independent music community, giving artists access to resources to help them thrive on YouTube and help them build their careers in their own terms. So how did you guys feel about the Foundry program? Do you feel like it helped you at all? Just kind of give a bit of a...
I think the Foundry project was really sick to be a part of. I remember like having the meeting and like seeing like all these like faces and understanding the team. And I think that's the first time I proper met you, and I felt you championing from that moment. Like you were gassed, and that made me like, okay, like it made me really feel appreciated. But I think being a part of this scheme has really been sick. It's also been sick to like see your face on these big ass monitors in like London and internationally, and to even be part of like a bunch of other artists that I think are sick artists as well, I think has been really sick. And the support from YouTube has been really nice as well, like with music videos and content. So I've enjoyed it.
Pascal?
Yeah, no, I think especially for what we've been doing with Enny, obviously the music videos have played such a big part in it, and obviously music videos ain't cheap. So I feel like definitely like
That part.
It gave us, I think, the full ability to kind of express the vision, especially for Keisha's and Brenda's. I feel like that one was largely funded by Foundry, which was sick. And I feel like even for me as a manager, like understanding how you can use YouTube and understanding these are the people that are kind of here to help you as well. I feel like we got that first from you guys before anyone else. YouTube was the first one to kind of teach us, this is how you use the platform, this is like the different things you can go for with your artists, you can apply for this, you can apply for that. And I think it's nice, there's a clear progression as well, like after the Foundry, this is the next step as well. And I think it's the continued support, because like we're still here, we're still chatting, you know what I mean? It's not just like, I feel like sometimes it's like you go, you do the program and it's bye, like you never see each other again. But I feel like this is more like actually invested in an artist's career long term, which I think sometimes is, you lose sight of that. It's just like the money, the moment, and then on to the next one.
Yeah, I think what's great about like, even just working at YouTube, like once an artist is in the ecosystem, it's like someone, it's like our child, as I always say. So I always want to make sure that like that person is getting as much support as possible. And obviously, like we said, we have Artists on the Rise, we have Black Voices Fund, so there's all these other marketing support packages that we can kind of talk about, which is super great. Pascal, a quick question for you. How do you deal with everything? Because obviously you produce, you manage, you're part of the MMF cohort as well. So you're doing a lot. How do you do it?
Honestly, just like the sickest team and the sickest people around me. Like, I think we've been so lucky every time we've had like a gut decision on who to choose, whether it be the live agent, the lawyer, or people supporting me. Like, I feel like I've found the right mentors that have kind of just, instead of saying, oh, you're doing a lot, and it kind of feeling like, oh, you're doing too much, it's more like, no, sick, like, keep on going, because I feel like what I feel like we're trying to do maybe is a bit different. And a lot of people, when I tell them, oh, it's management and production, they're like, fuck, like, that's a lot. Like, and I feel like if you have that mentality, then it will feel like a lot. Whereas if you kind of just see it as, oh, I actually love what I'm doing and I get to be even more involved in an artist's career that I love, like, how's that a bad thing? You know what I mean? Manage and producing. That's the dream.
Anyone you love?
Oh, no reason.
Enny, how do you juggle everything? Because like obviously you're an artist, but also your friend. Like, how's it been like the transition of you now being the superstar and like?
I think it's like a learning process with everything and anything in life. You just kind of have to, you like learn yourself a lot more, and you kind of learn the kind of person you are, your weaknesses, your strengths. But I think a lot of it has to do with growing and confidence. I think that's been one of the like main things, because I'm very introverted, and so also navigating how to be present and still be like Enny, but also still be Enny's on. And so I think it's calm. Like also, I feel like the most important thing is to have a sick amount of people around you. And I think once you have a really sick support system, you're kind of calm. Like you've got to be around people you trust.
Definitely. Awesome. Do you guys think there is enough education for independent artists? Like obviously you guys said you have fam, but like if you didn't have fam, do you think there were enough resources for you guys to build an empire without that?
I don't think so, because initially I would have been scared to be an independent artist, because I just feel like that would be a lot of pressure, like financially as well. Like it really does cost to do music. And so I think to understand how to like use what you have in an effective way so you can do the best with what you've got, I think there needs to be more education in that respect, just so people know, because I didn't realize that being independent could be in different kind of ways. So like being part of an independent label, or just being an independent artist where you can get grants and there's a lot of ways to support yourself. I think there needs to be a bit more shouting about that stuff.
Definitely.
But yeah.
No, I agree. I think, like, generally speaking, there's not much education on the music industry. Like, there's no manual or guidebook. It's very much, I think everything I learned was just through word of mouth. Someone telling me, oh, you could do this, or have you ever thought about that? Or I've worked with this person, they're really good. Like, I remember for Peng Black Girls at the start of the campaign, we didn't have a TV plugger. And I was on the phone to my mate, telling him how well it was going. He was like, oh, you guys should get a TV plugger. And I was like, oh, cool. So I like asked a few people, what's a TV plugger? What do they do? And we got a TV plugger, but I feel like just information readily available there in a way that's easy to access and clear is not there. Like, you really have to kind of fight and work for it. You know what I mean? It's not just laid out for you.
I think it's kind of cool, because it's like, it's nice to learn. I think like 90% of the stuff I know now, but I didn't know 3 years ago. And I think it's kind of nice to have learned that, so you can kind of figure out, okay, so this is where I want to go, rather than like, actually, I don't know. I think it's both.
I was going to say also, I feel like the thing in the music industry that I've noticed, maybe we've been really lucky, but if I do have questions, more often people have time to answer them, you know what I mean? If I've asked to go for a meeting with someone, as long as you're polite, respectful, and you kind of understand that everyone's busy and you have to kind of work around their schedule, people, especially I think for young black artists and managers, I feel like nowadays that people have more time, it feels like.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I think people want to kind of educate the next generation of artists coming through, because like we need to educate, or then it's just going to be the same thing. Like, we have a couple of independent artists and then it stops. Do you think that a lot of, I guess, black artists may sign to a major because they didn't have the education of an independent label?
100%. I think so. And for a lot of them, it's unfortunately the story of trying to get out the hood. And so it's just like, all right, boom, got this moment, let's take it, let's do it. They're offering 6 figures, they're offering this amount. I'm going to take it because it's good for right now. I need the money right now. And so, yeah.
100%. I remember someone told me, like, I can't remember who it was, but really good advice that stuck with me was like, as soon as you start following the money in music, you're going to be in trouble, because there'll be people in your same position that have money. And so they're not doing the deals to get their money, they're doing the deals that are best for their career. And so in 10 years' time, when you actually look back, who's going to be better off, the person that did the deals for the money now, or the person that did the deals because they had the money now, long term? And I think often that is the issue with artists, especially young black artists, is that when you put 6 figures in front of someone that hasn't seen 6 figures before, and I think also for young managers it's hard, because as a manager you make commission on that. So it's like, how are you going to tell your artist, no, let's not sign 6 figures, and then you're also not getting your 20%. It's hard, I feel like, and often, for whatever reason, people take the check.
And even from like Solange's, I see at the table when Master P was talking, and he was like, when like you offer me this amount of money, I'm worth twice that. And I think that's something they don't know also, that people start at the bottom and they want to see how smart you are. So you work your way up from there. So if someone's offering you 6 figures, you're probably like times 10 of that. And they don't know that. They don't know their worths going into it.
Yeah. I'd add also, like, people don't, what you said, like, when you come into the industry, it's like, you don't know how much money there is. Like, I had no idea how much a live show we would get for a live show. Even now we get offers, I'm like, oh, cool, like, sick. But it's like, unless you don't know, unless you know. So it's like, if someone's saying you're worth 100K, do you know you're worth 100K? Have you had the experience and time in the industry to know how much what you're doing is worth? I definitely didn't, you know what I mean? It's
Same.
You have to kind of work it out for yourself.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough transparency, especially sometimes with the black community, in terms of like how much people get paid for shows, how much you pay if you sign to a major, etc. So I think there definitely needs to be a little bit more education on that.
Even with women as well, like, and the pay disparity between men and women, I think that is a issue as well that needs to be tackled.
Definitely. And I think also just on like deals, having big advances, I think there's still not enough education. So people are like, oh, I have $1 million deal, but don't realize that they have to recoup before they even make that money back. And I think especially, the last couple of years, there's been a lot of singles or artists that have come through with like big $1 million deals or whatever, or pound deals, and then they don't realize they have to recoup it back. And then, so I think there definitely needs to be a lot more education on that.
I feel like it puts crazy pressure as well. Like, if you take like 200K versus if you take 20K, if you're not making that money back, you're going to have someone in your emails every day being like, what's going on? When's the next single coming? And it's like, it doesn't make it a nice experience. Like, I think music, it can't be forced out of people. It kind of has to come more naturally, I think.
Definitely. Quick question. I know I want to know, when can we expect more music?
This year, I think, this year. I feel like we're working towards something. I feel like I've been fortunate as well to have like such a busy summer, and I just remembered I'm not in the UK. I'm in a different country right now. So like, I think that's really exciting. Like, I'm here to do a festival, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff coming. And then when you stop it, it can get back to the releasing, to like even take a break from constantly being in the studio and constantly figuring out that stuff. I think when you get back to it, it's refreshing, and then you can enjoy it. Because for an artist, I feel like releasing music and making music is all the moments you have. Because once that tune's out, once that project's out, that's it. It belongs to everyone else. You can't change it. You can't take it back. You can't remix. Well, you can remix it, but you can't like erase it. And so I think take your time with it and be happy and enjoy the process. And I feel like that's what we're doing now. And so
100%. I was saying that, like, if you're not enjoying the process and you're not and you're rushing and you feel like it's not fun anymore, I just don't feel like you're going to make the best music, you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, the most important thing is the music. So I feel like when it's ready, it will come hopefully
this year.
This year.
I'm banking on it.
Okay, you heard it here first. I just want to say thank you to both of you guys. Like, congratulations as well. Like, the journey's been such an amazing thing to see, especially in the last 2 years, which has just been crazy. But please make sure you check out Enny's music on YouTube and YouTube Music. And please, Enny's got 1,000 shows this year. I'm sure that you'll go to Park Life tomorrow. So check her out. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I think that's it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. I think we're done.
All good?
All good? Perfect. Nice. Thanks, guys.
Oh, no, thank you.
No, thanks. Congrats on that.